by saying that it is a form of informative propositions, but it still can get simpler because we're using distinctions or more ontological parasitical perspectives.
But I already have. But the problem is with like premise 7, which is the values of differentiation and the sameness are different and contain themselves, and that already puts that differentiation. If you differentiate two objects, they both rely on differentiation, which
Well, that's not
relies
what I'm
on being
saying.
a form of information.
But Hunter, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm going to convey is, for example, like using the chair analogy in the past. Actually, we'll use this. If I have a rock and I break the rock again and again and again and again, so it gets to the simplest form. The second most simplest is to say something is informative, but you can go deeper into simplest forms because it may be informative, sure, but I can still bring up the topic itself and be like, oh, well, this is an informative proposition, but we still can say that this exists by virtue of the distinctions themselves. And that's what I'm saying is it can
Okay,
get
but
simpler than that by using
okay, the
distinctions.
problem, you could try to assert that. The only issue there is that you develop this thing, which is that something being informed or informative means that it is made up of information, which means that the
Hmm.
things that you are denoting as the simplest objects are still being broken down further into information. And the other error is if you want to talk physical objects, and this is where the weird physics stuff comes in. If you break down a physical object into smaller particles like atoms, and then atoms to protons and neutrons, and then that into quarks, and then quarks into Planck fragments, you eventually break down into physical information, which is the literal wavelength of space and
Okay.
time.
You know what, Hunter, actually, I'll just say it like this. In a sense, would you agree that information is a form of knowledge?
No,
Okay, then we're gonna just argue about that because why is that the case?
because information is just, as I define it, is the physical constant and or the immaterial constant of all objects that can be denoted. So if you can
Um,
denote an object, it is a
mhm.
state of information.
Okay, yeah,
So to
but
say,
what
so
I'm
it's not that
saying,
it's not that
okay,
information is knowledge,
wait,
it's that
Hunter.
information grants knowledge. Two
Wait,
different
no,
things.
because in a sense, for us to say knowledge isn't itself, I would say actually knowledge. For us to say some version of information exists, we have to have the original notion of the idea, which is knowledge itself, the concepts. So it can't
Why?
be in informative positions. Because in
Why does
99% of
that
those
require
cases, like
knowledge?
for example, I go to get a job. The reason of it is I either have the ideal of money or some reason that could like obviously help me progress in life, and I want to go to get a job for this reason. What leads to something is more of a causal necessity, and I'm saying that we must have knowledge in a sense to require or supposedly find information itself.
Okay, but the problem with that is that you are presupposing that information is defined by qualia, which is not how I'm using information in this
Define
context
qualia.
at all. Do I actually have to explain qualia to you? Is that
No,
like
I
a
just want you to
legitimate thing?
define it. No, I know what it is. I know what it is. I want you to just define it for like everybody here.
What a pain.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
basically just that it's just the sense of mental perception of an object or thing.
Okay, mental perception.
If to be really simple
Okay,
with it.
so how are you using qualia to substantiate or provide substance to your argument again?
Repeat.
Okay. How are you using qualia to give substance to your informative argument?
Um, I'm. What does that have to? That has nothing to do with my proposition or my
Well,
syllogism at all.
I'm asking for your last statement for you to repeat it again. That's what I'm
Oh,
doing.
oh, 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 oh. Okay. You are presupposing my definition of information to deal with qualia. So you're talking about perceiving a statement, and because we perceive it and we are
Ah,
informed by that perception that it
that's not
is
my argument.
information. Okay, then exemplify better.
I'll just give an analogy. Okay, so for example, everything in a sense I'm saying has a causal necessity. That's why I bring up the job analogy. I'm saying, for example, you must have some form of ideal or concept, or you can say notion, I don't really care. You must have the ideal before you actually do the action itself. In most cases, that's what
Okay.
that leads to. I'm just saying most cases in life. And if that is
Okay.
the case, there was something in existence before informative things, because we must have knowledge to define information.
Oh, okay, cool. That's just what is that is in that isn't what information is. That doesn't debunk that information is the most simple thing. That would just debunk that an informed or informative value is the most simplistic thing. So that's already a problem there.
Yeah, I think we define information a bit distinct because the way I define information is facts provided or learned about something or someone.
Okay. What I'm defining as ontological information is not the same as information in the sense of either data or physical information
Wait,
in the
sorry,
quantum
repeat that.
sense.
Sorry, I was like bummed out. Repeat that again.
My ontological information is neither information as in data perceived, and nor is it physical information, such as in like quantum systems.
Okay,
It's
then. So,
neither of
do you
those.
mind defining information one more time for me? Because I think last time you said it, I took it the wrong way, obviously, then.
Information, as it is defined, is
Mm-hmm.
just the source value and the source quality of all objects.
Well, the way you're defining that is already kind of being called into question because Hunter, if you define it that way, then there's no way someone could say it's simpler because you're literally arguing nothing exists without information.
That's what ontological simplicity is
Okay, so
as an
I can
argument
just
for any
define something in that
ontologically
same
simple object.
aspect, Hunter, and it would just
Yes,
be
but
both of
the
our arguments
difference
are
is that
negated,
you would have
inclusive.
to. Okay, no, because you have to
Yes.
prove it, and I have a system of proof that isn't debunked.
Okay, what gives substantiation to your definition of information? What gives
The
substance to it? I'm curious.
syllogism, the syllogism.
The syllogism that's begging the question, because I'm calling in the question
How
if
is
it's
it begging
defined
the
a
question?
specific way,
How is it begging? Do you know what
because
begging
it's
the
already
question is?
assuming information.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Do
It's
you want me to
not.
define
The
begging the question?
conclusion. It's not assuming information is simple. It is going through the steps that lead to more simple
Wait,
forms, and
that's
it
not what I said,
correlates.
Hunter.
Okay, then it's not begging the question.
Let
Then it
me
doesn't matter.
repeat what I said. I said, in a sense, I'm calling question a definition of information because if I was to prescribe something that exact same definition, of course, because it's you're presupposing that information in the sense is what we use to make all things exist, presuppose things exist in itself. That's why I'm being very skeptical of this definition because I
Okay,
cannot find this
yeah.
definition anywhere. It looks self-made, honestly.
Oh, that doesn't just because it's self-made doesn't mean shit. And it is
Okay, then
self-made. There's
what
a
reasoning, what
536-page
substance.
peer-reviewed paper.
Okay, I'm gonna ask like this: what substance that you do you have to prove that information this way is defined like this? Because you're defined a specific way where it's kind of loaded. Like once you go into the debate and someone defines it as that, it's already a loaded fucking thing. Like you're
No,
already
because
it
let's talk
is.
about it like this. No. Don't no. Because
Go ahead.
if we were to go about it this way, because there is actual ways to address this, and there's been ways that people have actually challenged this against me before, which is there's the thing with ontological simplicity, which you did bring up, which is they
Hmm.
can bring up something else that they can argue is ontologically simple. If you were to do that, the two people would have to go back and forth between not only their argumentation and their values for proving why it is ontologically simple.
Okay,
An
wait, Hunter.
ontologically
I'm
simple
sorry,
object.
but do you mind rewinding that and putting it in layman's terms because I'm not really understanding their point because once again, it's still in the same sense presupposing that information is what provides us with everything and I guess like how do I say it? If I go into a debate and someone proposes me this definition of something, and this definition already presupposes that it is the very epistemological grounding for us to perceive in anything in existence itself, it's already loaded. Like you literally cannot beat that position. It's
You
already
can
loaded. I'm
say,
just I'm being
okay,
skeptical of the definition.
okay, yeah, you can be skeptical of the definition and you could try to, but you're not actually debunking the argument, which is the syllogism
Well,
supposed.
if I'm
You were
being
just
skeptical,
calling.
well, yeah, that's my point. I'm being skeptical of it itself because it's already loaded in a sense. If you can provide me with some substance of why it should be taken this way or defined this way, then yeah, I can
I
totally
gave
agree.
that.
But that's the problem is I'm being skeptical of that because once again, it's already presupposing what's being called in the question
Okay. You're just going circular, and I'm not allowed to
because
speak.
you're not
So,
attacking it.
yeah, I did attack it twice.
No, you didn't.
I have a standing argument. I have a standing definition. I gave the reasoning for that definition, and I gave the values for that definition. Where's the error?
Wait, sorry, repeat that. I wasn't listening.
I gave you a syllogism, the reasoning for the definitions within the syllogism, the values of the things in
Oh
the
my
syllogism,
god.
and everything. You just
Okay,
calling it into question when you're not attacking it is not. You just have basis skepticism at this
Hunter.
point.
No, it's not because we both have distinct ways of defining information. And I'm asking you originally, the syllogism itself is already presupposing that this thing is analytically true or
Where, where,
defined by it.
where?
So let's go to P1. Okay, hold Let me go back up to the fucking syllogism. If I could even find it. Hold up. We have to. Can someone like ping it in chat for me, please? Because this shit is
I
not
have
like
it.
I
I'll
can't
read
find
it.
this.
Premise one:
You want,
statements are either phatic, apophatic, or absurd. What about that
okay.
assumes information?
Because when you're gonna based off the phatic or apophatic thing itself, which I don't know if anyone here knows what apophatic means, but it's pretty much where you're saying something like by virtue of negative terms itself. In that sense, you're saying that it's either apophatic or it is fat. Oh, actually, oh god. If it is phatic or it's apophatic. Now, Hunter, you'd agree that phatic literally is just quite literally the opposition of apophatic, correct?
Apophatic just means able to be described either neutrally or positively. That's what phatic means.
Okay, so phatic statements are necessarily informative. Okay, it's providing us. Oh, hold up, Hunter. P2 now. Once again, it's presupposing that the definition is taken the specific way.
How?
Because I'm calling in the question whether it should be taken the specific way or I should grant it being taken the specifically way.
Okay,
And you're
but
not giving any steps
how
of
is
the law.
P2 assuming it? How is P2 assuming it?
Informative.
Informative
You know what that
doesn't equal
means?
information.
You're
That doesn't
saying
mean information.
Wait, no, you're saying how it goes because you try to hide the information thing until the very last end. But the problem is itself is you're still saying it's informative, so therefore it's information itself. But the problem is the way we define information will describe
Informative?
the properties of what
Stop. I'm
informative
cutting you off.
means.
I'm cutting you off. I'm cutting you off.
Okay, do it. I
Informative
want to hear it.
informative in this argument doesn't equate to information necessarily. In fact, I have to reconcile that issue, and that's the reconciliation that is made in premise 6, which if you want to attack premise 6, we can talk about that because there's a difference between informative and informed. Do I have to go over the difference between that in an
You want, yeah, go
ontological
ahead.
sense?
If you want, go ahead. I don't mind.
Okay, an informed object is some object that relies on another object for it to exist. Basically,
Perfect.
any ontologically complex object is informed. That's just how we define reliance. There's a plethora of different terms. I
Yeah,
just
so
prefer to
I
use the
disagree
word
already,
informed.
Hunter.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, informative means provide useful, interesting information. So Hunter, I'm going to ask you again. What is the very last term I just said? Like, what was it? Information?
Hey,
Because it
hey,
sounds like it.
buddy. Hey, buddy. That's
Go
not the
for it.
term I was talking about. And if you want to talk about that term, we can
Just
talk about
misusing the
that
other
term
term.
next.
Great.
Okay, sure. The term informative in this case, in an ontological sense, because you're trying to attack this from an empirical sense, which isn't the
I'm
term that's
not.
being used.
Where in
You
the
are
hell did I
because
say that information has to be fucking
you just
empirical?
defined, how we define empirical informative like values. Like something is
Okay.
informative empirically if it gives us some
Yeah.
form of information.
Okay,
But in
Hunter.
this case, anything is
Wait, repeat
informative.
that. Repeat that actually. Go ahead. Repeat that last statement you just said again.
I'm not going to talk if I can't say what I'm going to say. I didn't even finish
Well,
my
I
sentence.
just
I was
didn't hear
mid
your very
sentence
last
that time.
statement, so I apologize. Can
Okay,
you please repeat the last statement?
the statement, Reaper, is that
Mm-hmm.
in what you are trying to attack my thing with is not the definition that I gave earlier, and nor is it what I'm trying to talk about. Because informative, as you just defined it, is informative in the empirical sense,
And how
which
is it
is something
empirical?
it tells us because we are perceiving it and it tells us something. That's what informative and empirical data is.
Okay. In a sense, I'm not saying that's true because one again, I'm saying in a sense information is not limited to just empiricism. That's why I'm like saying how the fuck does me saying if I'm providing you with information, how does it entail that information is empirical? Like, could you see information, Hunter? Could you please show me where the fuck you see that at? Like, I'm actually curious.
What do you mean see? What do you mean by see?
Do you know what empirical means?
You
Senses.
know empirical just means by the senses. You know your mind is verbatim
Mhm.
a
So
part of
can
your
you
empirical data.
hear you can hear information, sure.
I
The
can
problem
mentally
is
I can mentally describe information. That's there you go.
mentally.
That's a sense, is it
Okay,
not?
so you're
I would
not
argue that the mind
using
is
your
a sense.
intuition to define information?
Your intuition is a part of your mind. That's what I'm talking about. What the fuck are you
That's
on about
what
this time?
so if we're using this exact same argument to counter mine, I can supply that back to you for the original definition of information and you lose.
How does that make me lose?
Because
Reaper,
once
I'm
again,
actually
it's
thinking that you're going
empirical.
circular and being retarded.
No, I think I'm attacking everything you're saying. You're just not understanding it.
You're not. You're not attacking shit. You're just trying
Well,
to
because
say
you're
that my
trying to
definition.
debunk it because it relates to empirical. But I'm saying in the same sense where you define information, you're using your intuition to define that. The same way that I'm using my intuition to define informative. If that is the
That
same case and
doesn't.
it's
That
wrong
doesn't.
because I'm using some empirical status, I can apply the same thing for you defining information using your intuition, and you would just be contradicting your groundings of your argument.
How does that? How does that contradict it? Like that's not
'Cause
contradicting.
according to
That's
you,
just
it's an
saying that you have
empirical
a no, no,
definition,
no,
not
no, no, no.
if not
Stop
limited.
cutting me off. No, stop cutting me off.
Go ahead.
That
Go
just
ahead.
means that you have a contradicting definition. Just because there's two definitions for a word that exist doesn't mean that one of them is wrong or both of them are equal or anything like that. It's context that matters.
Well, Hunter, that's not what I'm saying. Again, what I'm saying is you're saying the definition I'm giving relates to an intuition, which is part of the brain, hence empirical. And I'm saying in that same exact sense, you are using your intuition to define information to me. Yes or no?
That doesn't debunk my argument, though. I don't care.
Well, it's empirical. It's not fully relating to not just empirical things. You'd lose. Your definition's already wrong.
That
Like,
no,
boom.
that doesn't mean that.
Fuck.
That doesn't
It
entail
does.
that. That doesn't
It
entail
does.
that. That doesn't entail that. That doesn't entail that.
I think it does.
You're presupposing an entailment. That's what you're doing.
What does presuppose mean? Is that an intuitive thing?
Presupposing means prescribing a value, which means you are
Okay,
defining a
so is
value
that what you
before
did to
any
the definition of
descriptions are made.
information? Okay, so is that what you did to
No,
information? Okay, so
no.
what information then? Tell us all how it's not
I
empirical.
described it. I
Okay,
described
you
it. Doesn't
described it
it
using your
doesn't matter if it's
intuition.
empirical or not, you fucking idiot.
If it's, according to you, if it's empirical, it's wrong. It's not relating to something outside just general empiricism. So you'd be contradicting your
No,
own arguments.
I never said it didn't have to be empirical. What the fuck you want?
Okay, then then your substance of your argument to negate mine is wrong already. So then you can on that point. Move on.
What am I? No. What am I? What you are presupposing my argument? What
You
are you
said
talking
that
about? I never
definition
said that.
is
I never said
empirical.
that.
You said that
I
yourself, and that's why you're relating that
no, no, no. I
yours is
said
more analytical than mine.
no. Okay,
Yes.
apparently you have the
Of
brain of a toddler. Okay,
course,
Reaper.
you
Because
don't know
this
what
time I'm
empiricism
actually
is.
getting
Great.
annoyed. No,
I
no,
know.
no, no, no,
Go ahead.
no, Reaper. I didn't say you're misreading what I'm saying. I didn't say because your definition is empirical. That's not what I said. I said because it
You literally
relates
said that
to
word for word.
the
You want to stop
study.
talking?
I
Like
If you cut
word
me
for
off one more
fucking
Yo,
word.
time,
Reaper,
if you
Reaper,
cut
Reaper,
me off
Reaper,
one more
Reaper,
time,
Reaper.
Yeah,
Let us
let's stop
finish.
talking now. Okay,
Let
go
us
ahead.
finish.
okay, what I said, Reaper, was that it relates to empirical data. That's what I said. All definitions, no matter what definition you give, whether it's prescribed or described, they're all going to be intuitionally empirical. That doesn't debunk my argument. All I'm saying is that what you are stating, which is when you defined information in that way, I just said, well, that's not the definition I am using. Just because you have that definition doesn't debunk the definition I have here.
Okay.
Eh,
So, Hunter, I'm going to ask you a genuine question. When I defined informative, you brought up it's more of an empirical way of defining it. Now I'm
No, I
going to ask
didn't. I
you.
said it was. That's not what I said.
Okay, bro.
Point blank. I just clarified that. I just clarified that it
Empirical
has to
status.
relate to.
Okay, right terms now. We good now?
Okay, but that's
Okay, there we
different from
go.
what you're
Now we
trying
can
to argue
progress.
towards me. Okay, so if your
Once
point,
again, wait, can I ask you a question?
sure.
Yeah. Okay. In a sense, Hunter, is what you brought up was it was more of an empirical status. So I'm going to ask you the same question that you asked me. Why, in the sense of being informative, when are you not using your intuition? It's not relating to some empirical status.
That
Can you
doesn't
tell me?
matter.
I think it does.
No. The thing is, Reaper, is you're going back to trying to attack my thing in the same way when we already
I am.
just got to this point where we just fucking agreed that what you thinking that I was trying to say is not what I was trying to say at all. When
I
I say
corrected
that your
myself. It's
definition,
status for a reason.
okay, but can you tell me what empirical statuses has to do with my argument at all? Because I never like originally brought them up. I just said that
Okay.
like your definition applies to empirical data and mine doesn't. So we are using different definitions. So we have to reconcile that problem.
Well,
And you are
that's
just
what I'm
using it to
saying
attack my
is,
argument.
well, that's where I'm saying is that I think every definition you give to me is based off of the
Yeah.
intuition in it's gonna have some empirical status. Anything has that, right?
Okay, but that doesn't debunk my argument.
Okay, then so what? Okay, if they're both hold an empirical status, then obviously there's no distinction between us. It's how you find yours in a distinct way. So the
Whoa,
substance
whoa,
was
whoa, whoa.
wait, the substance you had for your argument is now contradictory.
No, it isn't.
Okay, then how is it
Because
not empirical?
okay, just because, again, I said this and I'll say it for the fourth
Go
time,
ahead.
just because we have two different definitions that are not the same doesn't mean either of them are wrong or either of them are correct. It just means that we
Uh,
are using terms in different manners. I could change information for any word I want. Like in this case, if I wanted to make the word information in my argument be the word
mhm.
Chazal black, and Chazal black means X, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't change my argument.
Okay,
It's
that's
just
where.
we're using the same word in different
Okay, then.
ways.
Case, what I'm doing is I'm just saying that there's a possibility of this not being the case. What I'm asking you is to provide me some substance of why your definition should be the one we utilize in this debate.
The reason why it's the definition we should utilize in this debate. I
Yes,
already gave a reason for that at the beginning of the debate.
and I'm sorry, but your reasoning, which I just had an equal interpretation to, and you just fumbled again.
I did you My guy,
Yeah,
just because
better.
you apply
Continue.
quote unquote equal interpretation doesn't change because the debate is about my argument. So the context of my argument is the
Oh my
context in which
god.
the terms are going to be addressed.
Okay,
Um,
Hunter, once again, that's not addressing what I'm saying. You came into this debate with a loaded definition, and I'm calling it into
it's not a
question
loaded
now because it's
definition.
loaded.
It's not a
Well, if a
loaded
person
definition.
agrees to that definition instantly, they instantly
No,
fucking lose. Yes, they do.
I already
Yes, they
addressed
do.
how you can attack it. I already addressed how you can attack it from an other perspective. You could
Okay.
argue
Hmm.
ontological complexity, ontological parasitism, a different
Or you can just
ontological
say there's
simple
another definition
object.
we can use that's not loaded. We can definitely do that too.
That doesn't change the
Do you
argument. It's
understand
not
that? It
loaded.
does change
It's
the
not
argument
loaded.
because if
It's not
information is
loaded.
defined
It's not
distinctively,
loaded.
it doesn't
It's not
work across
loaded. It's not
parties
loaded.
to
It's not
informative.
loaded.
You can keep
It's not
repeating
loaded.
yourself, but I'm
It's
drowning
not
you,
loaded.
pussy.
You're not.
I am.
It's not loaded. You haven't proved that it's loaded. I already
Okay, I'm
addressed how
sorry.
it's not loaded.
Hunter, if it is information the way you defined it, informative relies on the prescribed properties of information, right? Yes or
Informative.
no?
What do you mean by that?
You're
Like
lost.
elaborate.
Okay. What I'm saying is information is defined in the specific way. Informative
Okay.
is literally, by definition, just giving information. But what I'm
Okay, but
saying
that's not the
is it
definition I'm
already
using.
the question? Because yes, you are.
No, I'm not. That's not the definition of
Okay, then what
informative that
definition
I
of
gave.
informative are you using? What are you using?
Okay, since I have to go back to this for the third time, okay,
Yep. Go ahead.
informed is some object that is reliant upon something that is informed. For example, we have an apple. An apple relies on amino acids. So
That's literally what I just said. Like you
apples
literally repeated
are,
what the fuck I said.
stop cutting me the fuck off because that's informed. That's
Awesome,
not
don't moderate.
informative. Two different things. I don't
I
care. I can
literally
do whatever you want.
defined informative for everybody here, Hunter.
Okay,
Even if there
then
is some
I
way,
didn't
I'm
agree
gonna
with that.
attack that. Can I attack the analogy, please? Because like that's gotta get out the way
I'm
first.
not done talking. No.
You're
Okay,
kind
because
of
I'm
rambling.
trying to differ.
Oh, sounds
I'm
good.
trying to I'm trying to differentiate informed
Go
and
ahead.
informative. Okay, informed is in this it's an ontological reliance. Okay,
And what does
informative
that mean?
they
Layman's
are
terms.
different thing. What
Yeah.
do you
What does
mean
that mean?
layman's
Layman's
terms?
terms.
Layman's terms for what? For
Make it
what?
simpler,
What?
understandable to anybody.
Okay, a
To
something that is informed is reliant on another object or idea to
okay.
exist.
So I'm gonna
And
ask
then
you where in the
informative, I'm not done talking.
yeah.
We're done. I'm done. I'm done with
Okay.
this. I can't
Well,
say a
Hunter,
full
before
sentence without
you
being cut over. No, this is
okay,
done.
you know what?
Fuck you.
I'll be cool. Okay, bro. I'm gonna agree with you. All I was gonna say was even if it was a contingency, it's still giving information. Like my definition's still right. Like what the fuck? Whatever. But that was interesting. Akana, was I being too hard of a dim, or was I like what was it?
Yeah,
Like
near
was it
the
too?
end.
Yeah,
Near
it
the
was
end.
it. Yeah, okay, okay.
But it was good because it made him mad. That was funny as fuck.
Ye- Okay, dude, I just want to say dude, that was funny as shit. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, no. Griff. Okay, Griff. Literally, all qualia means, in a sense, is literal, just mental institutions which understand reality. That's literally all it is. It's literally mental institutions of where you understand reality. I guess